Just going to wait until people join us. We are live today on YouTube and Facebook. And if you're just joining us, send a message in the chat, say hello, tell us where you're from. And as people join, we will get started. I'm just waiting to see if anybody joins us. Oh, hi, Jess. Thanks for popping in. We are live on Facebook and YouTube today. And if you're just joining us, please put a message in the chat box and say hello. I'm Patty Behan, and today we're going to be talking, we're going to be doing a lot of embossing. Ranger has a lot of embossing powders that I'm going to show you some of them. Hi, Sarah. Thanks for joining. I see more people are coming on. Say hello. So always on our YouTube lives, we give away some $50 gift cards to rangerinc.com. So we hope you stay till the end. And we pick our winners from the chat. So feel free to ask any questions, say hello. And then I guess we'll get started, and I'm going to move my camera to the desk. Okay. Oh, hi, Rachel. Yes, it is a dreary day in New Jersey. I'd rather rain than snow at this point, though. Okay, so let me move this over so that it's in the middle a little better. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make these cards. We have a new line of stamps and stencils with the Ranger brand called Make It, and I'm going to be using this one, just one of the stamp sets today. We've been getting a lot of requests for like minimal supplies, so I was trying to answer that request, and I'm just using one stamp set, and we're going to do a lot of embossing. Okay. Oh, hi, Sarah. Sunny here in Wisconsin. Snow yesterday. It's funny, right? Okay. Yes, I have Asia here with me. Hi, Kate. Thanks for saying hello. And actually, Asia created this card, and I'm going to show you how that was done. Okay. So I think I'm going to start with this card, and I'll get my supplies out here. And what I have is we need a card base. I'm using a Simon Hurley top folding card base. He has pre-cut and scored top bases, card bases, and one is top folding, and then he does have a side folding one. And there's also card panels that are pre-cut that you can get. I'm starting out with this card panel, and it was cut down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. Okay, and we're going to work on that first. And then I'm going to be using some white embossing powder. We have our clear Embossed ink pad for the embossing. And I'm using the Happy Birthday sentiment. Now on this stamp set, the Happy Birthday, I'll show you over here. The Happy Birthday is one stamp, and we cut it. I do that a lot. If you find that you want to, instead of one line stamping, you want it on a couple lines, it's okay to cut your stamps. Don't be afraid. And you could always, like, if you make a nice clean cut, you can butt them together and it'll be perfect back in the line. Okay, so now I have our anti-static pouch, and I'm going to rub that on the card. And what this does, it takes some of the static out of the paper so that the embossing powder doesn't stick to your card. And then I'm going to ink up my stamp. Make sure I get it good. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to like stamp sort of in the center. Okay. And then I need to get a piece of scrap paper underneath. Oh yeah, and also I'm working on a nonstick craft sheet. This protects your work surface. And then I'm using just white embossing powder. Our basic colors of embossing powder come in 2 granules. There's regular, and then we have a super fine detail. So regular is usually for a stamp that has thicker lines, and the superfine is for like something that's very detailed and has a lot of small thin lines. And so this one is, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, kind of. This stamp happens to be kind of like a cross between the two. And sometimes to decide what embossing powder to use, I'll just try both and see which one gives me the best results. It's always fun, always fun to experiment to see what you're going to get. But like the basic, you know, if you want to decide which, you know, do I need both? You don't really need both. I would get like the basic, but if you want both, that's how you decide. So now we're going to emboss this. How do you properly spell Asia's name? That's right. You spelled it right. And then you just, as it's melting, you just move your heat tool. I like to keep it in one spot and then just move it as it's melting. And this is white. We're going to be doing more embossing, and you'll see how it works. You can't really see this on the screen. I'll show it when it's done. Okay. And then after you emboss it, you have to wait till it cools down. I'll bring it up and you can kind of see it there. Okay. And the great thing about embossing is it will resist the ink. So I am going to ink right over this sentiment, and you'll see how that works. So I'm using Distress Oxide in saltwater taffy, and I have a Ranger mini ink blending tool with the dome foam. We have a flat foam and a dome foam, and both are good. It's just kind of like a personal preference. And then what you do is you get ink onto your foam, and then you just start blending. And I'll go in the middle. Sometimes I like to start from the top, but I'm going to go in the middle so you can see the magic. So you just blend over top, and then you see how that embossing powder resists the ink. And even though this is oxide, which is a combination of dye and pigment, it'll still, as you're blending it, it'll wipe off the top. So I just want to bring this closer. And even like that's like the nice start of a card. I think that could be another way you can, another design for this card. Okay. see. And then I'm just going to ink up the whole background, and you're going to have to keep going back and forth, adding ink to the foam until your background is full. And for those of us just joining, we'd like to invite you to make comments in the chat, ask questions, because we are going to be giving away two $50 gift cards to rangerink.com, and we pick the winners from your chat. And then I'm just going to keep going along until I get the whole card finished. Now you can use different colors for the background, but the look here is a tone on tone. We're using a lighter color and then a darker color in the same color family is what we're going to stamp on top of it. And then my fingers are probably going to start getting dirty, but that's okay. I should have a little piece of paper. I have been having issues with my embossing not being thick. What am I doing wrong? It could be your ink pad is dry. That could be one of the reasons. We sell reinkers for all of our ink pads if you're using one of ours, so you can do that. And that's the main thing I can think of. And there's like a happy medium. You don't want your ink pad too wet, because then it gets blobby with your stamping. But I kind of like to I like a juicier pad. So that might be what's happening. Also, thank you, Sarah. Don't forget to like the video. Thanks. And you get the embossing powder to melt with a hair dryer. No, it's not a hair dryer. It is a heat tool that the embossing powder melts at 300 degrees. So you need a heat tool that gets that hot. A hair dryer will not work at all. Sarah, yes, I'm using the same embossing pad I use. Yeah, try getting the re-inker and inking your pad more, or just make sure you're putting enough ink on your stamp. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And so now I'm going to stamp on top with Distress Barn Door, and we're just going to stamp around the sentiment to make a nice design. And we want to make sure we stamp off the edges and like so. So I'm going to start with the cake, I think. And I'll grab another stamp block. And I'll just ink up my stamp. See how I keep like inking? I just like to make sure that there's enough ink on there. So when you're doing embossing or stamping, I like to just make sure there's a lot of ink. And then some people use a stamp platform. That's always good too, if you have trouble. Okay, and we're going to do one more up top. I'm slowly growing my collection of the Distress Oxide ink pads. Oh yeah, that's good. And the Distress Oxide ink pads are really good for blending. They're my favorite ink pads for making blends of ink. So I'm going to go like a little bit here. Okay, that's that one. And I'm going to clean up. I'm getting some ink, and I just want to clean up as I go a little bit. I'm using a microfiber cloth here, trying to be environmentally friendly instead of a bunch of paper towels. Okay, so next, let's do the bow. So I'm going to clean my stamp as I go. And also, I want to show you that we have clear stamp cleaner that you can clean your stamp with, and you just like dab it on the stamp. And we also have a rub it scrub it pad. It's like it's almost like a Brillo kind of feeling, and then you can scrub it to clean it, and then to dry that stamp cleaner, use the cloth. Okay, so we have that. And next I'm going to get the bow. And then we're just using the same color. And you know, you could do another idea is instead of, you can have a white background and maybe you want to emboss in black or a different color, and then you can stamp in all different colors. That could be a fun idea too. I just wanted to, you know, I always like to see how many ideas you can get for the same stamp set. So I thought this would be a good way to show you, because this is like a timeless stamp set. And I have this little, I don't know where this came from, but I have this little dot, and I'm just going to like stamp right there. Like so. So I covered it, and now you don't even see that there was a little dot. Clean that. And then, yeah, so now I am going to pick my 3 candles. This is such a fun design that I love using that. Okay, I'm going to go in the corner here. And then go down at the bottom. Oh, I looks like I didn't give myself enough room, but that's okay. I'm just gonna change it. I'm just gonna put this over here. And that fills up that space. And then next, I'm going to use there's two skinny candles. One is like has stripes on it, and one is like a solid. I'm going to use those next. Yeah, Holly, what you could do with this card is just make a bunch at one time too. That's another thing that you could do. You know, and if you know the person's favorite color, you could do that. And then I'm going to grab the solid candle. And I'll make this go here. Okay. Clean off my stamp. I have to be honest, I don't always clean up my stamps when I'm doing it. Sometimes I do it later. But And then what am I going to do next? Oh, I need to do the martini glass. Let's see. I think I'm going to go a little different, and I'm going to go to the inside there. Since I didn't have my and put one over here. Okay, looking good. And I want to clean this one really good because I'm going to use it in another card. This way we'll be ready for it. Okay. I'm going to put that aside because I'm going to use it again. And then, actually, I still need my block because I need to do the little tiny heart. It just adds that little extra something. And what I'm going to do, let me clean this off still. I really wish that I had a tiny stamp block for this, but I don't. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it in the corner. This is like the smallest stamp ever. So this way I'm not, in the middle getting all this ink on that stamp. So I'm just gonna do it at the edge. And then I'm just gonna fill it in like randomly in some of the spaces. This looks cute over here. And you do have to ink it every time. Don't this one, for sometimes you can get a double stamp, but this you'll have to make sure you ink it every time. And I sometimes look and make sure you have ink on the stamp too. That's another thing you should try to remember. There. I got another little spot. I don't know where that's coming from. Right there. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my heart right there. That camouflages it. And then let me see. I think it needs one more. Okay. Put it right here. All right. So there we have this card already done. And now we just have to put it together. And I'm going to use some foam squares to attach this. And I have a man's birthday day stamp set with all sorts of tools on it. This idea would work great with that. Oh, good, great, Donna. I'm glad we inspired you to do that. Okay, I'm gonna put some foam. Let me get this out of the way. I'm just gonna put like in the four corners and like in the middle. I think that's good. Take off the tape. Yeah, and also this is like when you first look at this, this is like looks like a feminine stamp set, but in my next card, I'll show you it's not, it can be masculine. So I'm just going to put this on the center, like so. How long does it take for the oxide ink to dry once blended? Um, it all depends how thick it's on there. I mean, it's dry right now. And then if you wanted extra assurance that it was dry before you started stamping, you can like use the Ranger heat tool to dry it just to make sure. This would be nice as a resist. Yes, Rachel, certainly would. Okay, so here we have our first card done. Now let me put that aside, and we'll bring them back later, and we're going to ask you your favorites. Okay, would the oxide resist on the embossing powder? Yes, Rachel, it does. I used oxide. In case you missed the beginning, I embossed first, and then I just went right over it, and I didn't even have to. Sometimes it might leave a little bit of ink on there, but it didn't. It just resisted the ink, the embossing, even the oxide. Okay, so now this is the card I was talking about that was kind of, I felt like it could be masculine as well as feminine. And also this is using our neon embossing powder, and I use black and clear. And let me get out the stamps for that and put some of this stuff away so that we clear out our spot. Fix mine. That was for Asia. Fixing my craft mat. Okay. And so what I'm using here is I used our blue neon powder, but these powders are so much fun, and I wanted to show you they come in 3 other colors. It comes in pink neon, yellow, green, and then the blue. And so for this, I used the blue. Did you do you want me to change the color I used? I don't think yellow would look good on the craft. I'm doing this on craft. I don't think yellow would look, but do you want me to change the color or use a different color? Let me know in the comments. Okay. And I'll just wait till I hear the answer, but I'll keep telling you what I'm using. Get that out of the way. I haven't seen what color you want me to use. If you want me to keep with the blue or pink or green. So let me know. I'm not sure if the yellow would look good on the craft, but we'll see what people have to say. Green, I see lots of greens, blue, pink, blue, green, keep the blue. Oh boy, it seems kind of even. Asia, what should we do? Green, I'm gonna do green. Okay. All right, final answer. Okay, so what I have now is this is Distress Craft Heavy Stock, and I have the black matte Distress Heavy Stock as well. And so I cut this mat is a little bit smaller. I made it so this is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So it just has a wider mat to it than this one. This one we kept it wide because there was a lot going on. This one I made it smaller because just to shorten the area of the design kind of thing. Okay, and something to know about the craft cardstock, it's really very porous. And so sometimes the inks really like soak into the card. So just something to know. And so I guess what I'm going to do is I am going to start. I already have the numbers. The stamp set comes with big numbers and smaller numbers. So I thought that made a fun background. And I already placed the numbers on my larger stamp block, just to save time. And I'm gonna go ahead and use my non-static, anti-static pouch. And then I'm going to use the clear embossing pad, and I'm going to ink up the numbers. And I'm doing this all at once. You can, I mean, sometimes, you know, it could be hit or miss when you do all stamps at once, but I'm being brave. And you could, using a stamp platform makes it easier, just in case you didn't ink up everything well, or stamping them, you know, one at a time. Sometimes it all depends your comfort level. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and stamp like I'm going pretty much towards the top and to the side. And I'm gonna press another thing. Make sure you press on each number just to make sure. That's when you have multiple stamps, it's just better to do that. Okay, and now I have get my scrap paper, put it underneath, and I'm using regular clear powder. The clear also comes in superfine, but this has, you know, it's a thicker stamp, so you want to use the regular grade embossing powder. So you shake off the excess, and then you return it to the jar. Your embossing powder lasts a good long time, let me tell you. I have powders that are, and they still work too when they're old. I have powders that are, I've been working for Ranger for 20 years, and I still have powders from the beginning of time. Okay. So this one, I'm going to show embossing behind. I usually like to emboss from the top. I feel like it goes further and I can see where the heat is going better, but so that you could see it as I emboss. And as it melts, you move the tool. There's a question. Okay, and that's done. And then it looks, you get like a watermark kind of effect when you do clear on a card, like black with clear looks cool. I see a question from Sarah. Could we perhaps see a swatch of each of the colors on the scrap piece of paper? If we have time, I can come back and do it later. So remind me. Okay, I just want to make sure I get through all the cards. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Another Year Wiser, and I'm going to make sure I get my anti-static matte. And I'm stamping in clear and embossing in black, but you could stamp in a black embossing ink and use clear. But I'm trying to use like the least amount of supplies. So make sure I stamp this up good. I feel like I might have missed the edge over here. Just going back in real quick. Okay. And I'm stamping it in the corner. Okay. And again, I'm using the regular embossing powder. Black also comes in super fine. So I think I missed the top there. And see, like that anti-static pouch really did a good job. I don't really see any flyaway powder sticking to the paper. But if that did happen, you could always have a small, clean, dry paintbrush handy and get any excess embossing powder that you don't want using the brush. Okay, I'm gonna put that aside. And also, like when you're embossing with different colors, I hope you don't find it wasteful, but I like to use a different piece of paper because you'll start, like if I had black and then I used white on my scrap paper, I might contaminate my powders. Yes, MBT, I will try to give you a color comparison. And I forgot I was going to do it on the bottom. Hold it in one spot and move it as it melts. And that will very quickly. See that? Okay. And I gotta get my numbers again. Let's see. I didn't. Just gonna wipe off the stamp. And then I'm gonna do another year, so this is the person whose birthday it is. You put their number, and I'm just going to use a different, I'm going to say 30. And the thing about these stamp blocks, they have a little grid so that you can kind of line them up. And another thing when you're doing this too, when you're putting two stamps next to each other, I don't know if I mentioned it, but sometimes the spacing is not what it seems like when you put it on the block, and then when you go to stamp it, it wasn't what you thought it would be, because sometimes, you know, the edges are thicker than you think they are, and it's kind of fools you of how it's really going to stamp. Again, if you can, you know, just stamp a sample before you actually put it on your card. And then again, I'm using the clear ink pad. And then I'm just going to stamp it in that space, like so. Get my scrap paper. Pour it over top. I think I like that green on the craft. That looks really good. I do have extra craft paper. We could see what the others would look like on craft. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and emboss it. Such a habit to emboss over top, but I like that you could see it melt. And so the neons, they have like white powder in it. And if you heat it too long, the white will start to separate from the green. So now we have another card done. Okay. And this one, I just want to wait till this cools before I glue it. You could pop this up too. And I'm just going to use a tape runner. I'm going to glue it. Question. Why do you heat some of the powders from above and some from below? Okay, so it's not, I usually like to heat from above because I feel like I can see where it's coming from and it's not as awkward to hold, but I'm doing it from below so you could see it melt. That's why. Some people actually like to heat from below, but I'm not a fan. I can't, I feel like it's awkward, but I'm just doing it so you could see it melt. That's all. Because that's the best part of embossing powder is seeing it melt. Oh, that's pretty. I love that one. Okay, card number 2 done. Perfect for a New Year card. Oh, that's a great idea, Rachel. All right, so we'll put that aside. And then we're on to our 3rd card, which this is really fun. There's a martini stamp in the set. So what a great card for somebody who's turning 21 or somebody who's a martini fan. I think that's a fun card. And this is another simple card. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Yeah, the neons are really pretty. And they look stunning on the craft. They would look really great on the black too, I think. So I'm just going to use this to put these back on here. Okay. And now I'll get my martini glass stamp. And then, oh, so this one I use tinsel embossing powder. Oops. I'll bring it close so you can see. So I'll show you our collection of that. So our tinsel embossing powders come in, what's this? 13 colors. We have green, and to tell you how these work, they have colored embossing powder with a matching colored glitter. So we have green. This one is snowflake. This one's a little different. It's, let me see if I could get it good. This is white powder with like rainbow silver glitter. This is really fun. And then this is pink. This is bridal tinsel. This one has holographic with, I'm not sure if this is white or clear. We'll see what that is later. We could check it out later. Then we have red tinsel. Purple. Look at these beautiful colors. Sarah says this looks like it could be a New Year's card too. Yes, it could. This is gold. This one is called raspberry. Yellow. Blue. Teal. Orange. And then I used lime for this one. And I'm going to stick with the lime because it matches my olive and I'm matchy. Or I could do red. Which one do you want to do? Lime or red for my 21? Yeah, the gold is pretty. All of these are really pretty. And so what I'm showing you here today, these 13, like 15 colors or whatever, we have 59 colors of embossing powder. We could just talk about embossing powder all day. So what, green and red? Let me know in the comments. Why don't you put hearts? Put a green heart or a red heart if you're on YouTube. And tell me what color you want me to use. Red, lime. Also, if you're just joining us, don't be shy. Please put your comments in the chat because we're going to pick 2 winners from the chat to win a $50 gift card from rangerinc.com. Red to go with the pimento. You know what? I think I'm going to pick the red because you've been curious to see different colors. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get some of this other stuff out of the way. And to start, we are, again, our card base is a Distress Black Heavy Stock. And I have a Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock panel cut to, I did, this one is 4 by 5 1/4. I kept this longer so I could fit the martini glasses on it. Okay. And now but no, not to worry. So the reason I had Distress ink in peeled paint is I stamped to match my tinsel embossing powder, but funny thing, good thing we have barn door. So I can switch that out with my red embossing powder. That's another thing I like to do is I like to match my ink colors with the embossing powder I'm using, just in case you didn't stamp good, if you know, so that if you use red embossing powder, you use red ink, and then if you missed a spot, it's not as noticeable. So, oh, Laura, that's a great idea. That would be great to give this card to your nephew. Okay, so now I'm going to use our jet black archival ink to stamp, and our jet black archival ink is a waterproof permanent ink, and I'm using this because I colored in my little olives here. I'll bring this closer, and then since it's waterproof, I can use that. Okay, so what we don't want to do with this card is to make our little tower of glasses, we're going to start with the bottom and in the middle. I'm going to stamp that there. And then we're just going to keep repeating the process. And you have to remember, it can be tempting to just like stamp again, but nope, you have to re-ink your stamp every single time, okay? Okay, and then we kind of want to make it, okay? What is the difference between tinsel and embossing powder? Okay, the tinsel embossing powder is just a colored embossing powder with some colored glitter. So that's the difference. And so what happens is the glitter doesn't melt, but it gets suspended in the melted powder. And we'll see how that works when we get to it. Okay. And then we're going to go over here. So we have our 3 little glasses. This stamp set is just so cute. You can do so many things with it. And then I'm gonna like go right in the middle of those two glasses to stamp my next one. Like so. There's that one. Oh, and I probably should have tried to pay more attention of leaving more room in between, but we'll squeeze it in there. Luckily, the one is not a, like if it was a double digit number, I might have had a trouble. But as you can see here, I think I stamped it a little further apart, but wasn't paying attention. And then our last glass just fits on top here. Okay. And now, so I just want to make the archival ink is oil based, so it does take a little bit longer to dry than like a dye ink pad. I just want to make sure this is dry, and I'm just gonna like, I wish I had the Ranger heat gun, but I just want to make sure this is dry before I go forward. Okay. I feel like this could even be a card. I don't know, and put a sentiment like down the bottom. Okay. So now the next thing we want to do is I'm going to stamp our number. And let me find my numbers. And get my 21. Now I didn't clean these before, so I'm just wiping the excess ink. And finding my 21. Get this out of the way. I'm putting this as close as I can together. I'm just going to see how that fits. Okay. Oh, yeah. It'll still fit. Good. All right. So now what I want to do is I'm going to stamp with the barn door because I'm using the red tinsel, so I'm matching the ink. You could do clear if you want, but it's just a better, I like to have the color underneath. It will, because it will show through a little bit. Okay. And yes, I'm embossing with Distress ink. You can because it stays wet longer. As long as your ink stays wet, you can emboss with it. And you just have to work quickly. Oh, and I forgot my pouch. I always forget to use the pouch. So what I'm doing is I'm going to brush off the excess. And some of this is just, I'm actually going to see what I could get off. Some of this is the glitter, and the glitter will just blow away if there's no embossing powder attached to it. Because, like, in case you missed what I said, the glitter does not melt. It's the embossing powder that melts. Now, getting these between is tricky. So I'm just going to leave the little sparkles in between because it'll look festive. I'm returning the excess into a jar. Okay. And there's a little like glitter magic going on. I'm just going to wipe that away. Okay. Oh, I'm watching, but I don't have sound. Maybe if you restart, you can get your sound back. So now the glitter, the tinsel embossing powder is kind of hard to see the change. And the best way I can describe it is that you see it kind of twinkle when it's melted. Okay. And I think that's good. I'm gonna wait till it dries a second. This one is the hardest to see, like if it's melted. But here, let me see if I can get the. It's hard to catch the light, but like it's little glittery specks. Okay. What I need is to shine a light on it so you could see it, but you can't really tell. Okay, so now the next thing we want to do is color in our olives, and I will need my peeled paint. Let me clean off my stamp here, and I'm going to use my stamp cleaner. It has a dabber top, and you don't want to scrub with this because then this will come off. So you just want to dab it and then use your rub it scrub it pad to do the scrubbing. Okay, and then put this back. Actually, I don't need this. I'm just going to move it away. All right, and now I'm going to paint my olives in with peeled paint distress ink. And to do that, I'm just going to rub some ink onto my craft sheet. And I have a cup of water here. And I probably should have got a smaller brush, but it'll work. I think this is like number 6 brush. I probably should have got a 4. We have Ranger has an artist brush set. So what I'm doing is just picking up some paint on my brush, and I'm going to test it, see how much. I'm testing it on a little piece of paper just to make sure I don't have too much on here. I'm going to paint in my olives. And it's just that little pop of color, just makes for a very simple, elegant card. Sometimes we try to do too much, but really the prettiest designs sometimes can be simple. And the color in all the olives. And coloring with your ink pads is a great way that you don't have to like invest in markers, or like you don't have to get your, all your markers out. Just grab your ink pad. I'm just going to color all these in. And, I always forget to mention, if you'd like to see more of our videos, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, because you get a little notification whenever we're going live. Also, if you're not already on our text messaging system, you can go join, and we usually send out a text too before we go live. This way you don't miss anything. I need a little bit more water, just a tiny bit. Test it. Just one more to go here. Okay, and then I'll bring it up. I colored in my olives with the ink. Clean off my brush. Clean off my mat. And then I used a Posca paint pen to color in the pimentos. Okay. You want to shake it up. And then I always like prime it. Oof, that's really juicy. Okay. I'm just gonna, all right. I want it to be juicy for my next step and not for this step. I'm just gonna make little dots. Just add that little extra something. Okay. Just little dots like so. Okay. And now I'm going to move this other stuff out of the way, and we're going to just, we're going to make it like a party, and we're going to make all of our flecks now. So as you can see here, this was great. Sometimes you can't get it as juicy as you want it. So make sure you get your pen really juicy. Oh my goodness, it's really juicy. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my paintbrush, and I'm going to go from far away, because if you go from far away, you get smaller dots. And we just want to make some. I'm going to go from this angle. I need to get it on this side. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get it juicy. And go over here. Okay. Less is more. I don't want to go crazy. And then now I'm going to go, and I want to get my green again. We want as much ink as we can get. Get our paint nice and wet. That should probably be good. And now I'll go the opposite way. To make my dots. It's an art to like kind of aim where your dots are going to go. Okay, I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. And then here we have our fun martini card. Now this has to dry a second. I'm going to clean up. I'm using a microfiber cloth here instead of like a million paper towels. Okay. And now, since we have a little time just to show you the neon swatches, I can do that. I'm going to get this paper out of the way. So, let's let this dry, and then I'll show you the swatches, and then I'll put it together. And let's see. I think the numbers are a good, will give us a nice swatch. I'll just keep doing the 21. Do you want to see it on the craft, or you want it on white? This is what I have in front of me. Let me know, and I'm going to do swatches of the neon. We already saw the blue and the you want the green with the red pattern. Okay, that I want to do on the white. The green with the green, the lime green. This one. I'll do that. Yep, that I would do on the white. So I'm going to take, I'll do it with my peeled paint for that. And you have to go quickly. I got to get a scrap piece of paper because it's not going to make it into the jar by itself. Put the lid on. And then this one, you can see a little bit more of the sparkle. Oh, there, I got it. That's the angle that it needs. So that's what that looks like. Okay. All right, so I'll just quickly show you the yellow on the craft. And I have to find my clear ink pad. Got it. Clear ink. Ooh, I didn't clean my stamp. I could see it in my stamp pad, but that's okay. There's yellow. Yellow does kind of show up nice. I didn't think it would show up that nice. I can already tell. Okay. See, this is why you have to test things. I guess don't always assume. And I'm gonna go ahead and stamp again, and so I'm only embossing once. Clean my stamp pad. Clean my stamp. Oops, wrong one. Here's the pink. Ooh, that's pretty. This here. And then I'll melt it. And remember to move it as you melt it. This has a white base in it, so sometimes with the neons, if you leave it too long, the white will separate out. Ooh. All right. And then there you go. There's our other colors of neon. So they're so that you can see the 4 colors of neon. Any one of these will look really pretty on your card. Okay. They would probably look great on black too. And now we have to put our last card together. And don't forget, if you're still here, make some comments in the chat. And we're going to be picking our winner soon because we're kind of wrapping it up here. And then I think this is dry. And I'm just going to attach this with the tape runner. You could pop this up too. I like to use a tape runner. You can use liquid glue. I feel like a tape runner is just faster. Okay. And then here we have our martini card. I'll bring back all of our cards. So we made 3 cards from start to finish. There's pretty much no prep in between. And I can't remember which one was mine and which one was Asia's. So this is what we made today. 3 cards using embossing powder and 1 stamp set. Let me grab my clean stamp set for you so you could see it. This is the Chic birthday stamp set. And tell me which was your favorite, or would you make all 3? And then again, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a thing. And I'm going to announce our winners now. It's Sarah Johnson 2991 and Holly Dyer 7613, and send an email to rangerinc@gmail.com with your full name, and we'll send you your $50 gift cards. So congratulations. And so I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.